So two times. Two times I've stepped out on my 20-year marriage. Two times. And not big. A kiss here and there. And both times it's caused a separation.
20 years of history, a daughter, and a shared life, all thrown away for 2 times of straying. Notice how she uses the term stepping out instead of cheating to soften the blow. When someone chooses their words as carefully while admitting a betrayal, they aren't looking for accountability. They're looking for self-justification. To her, it was just a kiss. To him, it was the murder of 20 years of trust.
Because when you live in a situation, and here's the thing, I'm not going to justify cheating. I don't think it's justified, which is why I've chosen to separate after certain things. But at some point, whenever you're with somebody, and after Natalia was with this person for 20 years, and for 18 of them, he made me beg to be touched. The problem is that we get along really well, friendship-wise, but romantically, it was very, 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 very painful to be unwanted and unloved that way.
Here comes a classic victim narrative. She claims she spent 18 years begging for affection. But a logical question is, if you were undesired for 18 years, why did you stay for 20? Often, during a divorce, women pull out an old wound that a man can never truly defend against. It's a psychological tactic to make her cheating look like a necessity rather than a choice. She is rebranding her betrayal as survival by painting him as emotionally absent.
Friendship-wise, we got along, we were into the same thing, so that helps. But twice, I've been approached by blonde-headed coaches. And you'd think that I would pick up on that. It's like, here's your lesson. So I learned my lesson the first time. The second time, it smelled a lot like the same. And so it probably was. Wanting an entourage of women to follow behind them. The first one definitely wanted an entourage, and the second one definitely was a coward. And watched. After, stalking me and anyway, DMing, pursuing, and you're kind, and they take that as flirtation. But you get so angry in that situation where you're not being loved, where you have to beg for any kind of affection, that you're not thinking straight when it comes to allowing someone else to admire you. And so that's what you do. You let them admire you. Which is what it is. But at this point, I am choosing me over any relationship where I have slightest temptation in that direction. I would rather be alone than have that, because when you're in a relationship with somebody, you should never feel so desperate for attention. You should have somebody on your side. You should have somebody that loves you, that's present for you, that doesn't use that sort of stuff against you. And the people who approach you, that I think a lot of times they see that you're desperate, and it puts you in a really bad situation, and you don't want to be in that situation. And it makes you feel pretty rough about yourself. And so this last one that approached me, regardless of why he did it, it kind of woke me up to the idea that I needed to be alone. I needed to not be married anymore.
And finally, the ultimate modern mantra, I am choosing me. When the house is already on fire, people often stand in the ruins and call it freedom. It's easy to say, I want to be alone, when you think the market is still waiting for you. But the reality is, this isn't the same market she left 20 years ago. She traded a man who tolerated her for the cold reality of the streets, where appreciation is rare and transactions are the norm.
I needed to, because in my life what I want is that person to be my only person. I don't want to have anyone else, and I don't want to need to have anyone else. I want to be treated respectfully and not disrespectfully, and I want to be appreciated and not tolerated. And so there are pushy people in the world, and I'm going to tell you that both of the people who approached me were pretty pushy. But I chose to allow them to be pushy.
She calls these men pushy and cowards, yet admits she allowed them in. This is the attention loop. When a man seeks peace at home and stops providing constant validation, the predators outside can smell the desperation. These coaches weren't looking for love. They were exploiting the cracks in a weak marriage. And instead of showing him the door, she chose to be admired because her ego was starving for validation.
And so that's my bad. That was my fault, to allow them to be pushy. But it did wake me up to what I needed to do, and so I did. I'm actively working towards leaving. And divorce is hard, but it is what it is. And I'm working towards a peaceful end to something that was good at times, where I have a beautiful daughter, and where this person I so loved him, and I so thought the world of him, and I still have love for him, but not the same way. And I wanted things to work out, and I didn't want to have to do things like I'm doing, but at some point you have to choose yourself. And to the two who approached me, the two lovely coaches.
She still loved him, but not in that way. This is the biggest red flag for any man, when a woman's respect is tied to her mood and the attention she gets from strangers. She sacrificed 20 years of stability for the temporary high of two lovely coaches. Now she's free, but her husband, he's likely finding the peace he never had with a woman who would open the door for any pushy stranger. Told you, stay sharp.
I hope that your wives understand what you do. Because my husband knew about you. And I apologized for even allowing anyone close.
Notice the pivot to the moral high ground. She's suddenly worried about the wives of the coaches, while she just finished dismantling her own 22-year union. In her mind, she isn't the villain. The men who push her are. This is the victim card played when there is nothing left to lose. Apologizing to her husband was just a formality. Her real goal is to cast herself as a distressed damsel who was misled.
And so, here I am, making it on my own after 22 years. And I'm finding freedom in that, and I'm finding healing in that, and peace. And while it's hard because you miss, I told my brother it was surreal. It's surreal.
22 years of stability, a home, and a husband, all traded for a feeling she calls surreal. Freedom in these cases usually ends with crying in a parked car or eating pizza alone in a bathtub. She calls it peace, but it's actually the elation of escaping accountability. The market doesn't offer welcome back, tours for people who left in their prime and returned decades later with a damaged portfolio.
And I'm sure he'd say the same thing, is that it's surreal. But life is life, and life is what it is. And here I am, making it, and never wanting to be in that position again where I'm so desperate. And never wanting to be in a relationship with someone who would make me feel so desperate. And never allowing people to make me feel so desperate for love and for affection and for anything like that. It's a job of working through.
She keeps repeating the word desperate. According to her, the husband made her desperate, which forced her hand. But the psychological truth is that she projected her own unhappiness onto him. She viewed her marriage as a cage. But as the sources show, what one woman calls a cage, the next woman calls a home, and she'll move in while you're still out there finding yourself.
And learning what you can and can't tolerate. But anyway, you'll be good.
She says you'll be good, but she's really just trying to convince herself. Her husband was a single committed investor who saw her value even on her bad days. The streets are anonymous. They don't care about your 22-year history. They only care about today's market rate. She lost a man who took her seriously for strangers who saw her as a temporary transaction. Freedom is expensive, and she just paid for it with the only thing that actually mattered. Told you, if the truth comes with a trigger warning, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe to join the Brotherhood and drop your take in the comment below. Told you, stay sharp.